So let's start with your name.
My name's Cory Smith, Mr. Smith, and I teach third grade at Ursa Major Elementary.
Okay, and how many years have you lived in Alaska?
I've been here since 1984, so next year will be 30 years.
And which regions of the state have you visited?
I've been all around South Central. When I started teaching, I taught on the North Slope. That's up by Barrow.
Okay.
And my first teaching job was on the North Slope in a small community called Wainwright, Alaska. And I've been to Kodiak, I've been to Ketchikan and Juneau, and up into Fairbanks. I've been to all those areas.
And what would you say is your favorite place in Alaska?
To live is here in South Central. I live in the Mat-Su Valley, and so anywhere in Anchorage, even River of the Valley, is probably my favorite place to live.
Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, the climate is not as harsh. Now down in southeast, Ketchikan and Juneau, it rains a lot, and I'm not a big fan of the raining all the time. But on the North Slope, it's just so cold and so dark. When I taught on the North Slope, the sun goes down in November, the end of November, and doesn't come up until the end of February.
Oh, wow.
It's dark the entire time, and to me, that was just shocking to me.
Oh, yeah.
And in Alaska, yeah, we have darkness, but there it's dark for 2.5 months, nonstop. Yeah.
And what would you say is the best part of being a long-term in Alaska, like living long-term?
You know, what I really think that's really important about long-term Alaska is that the opportunity for young people. You know, if you come out of college, there's a lot of job opportunities in Alaska. You know, especially from the ages about 25 up to 40. There's a lot of jobs that, you know, if you have some type of degree, you could get a pretty good paying job in Alaska. And for the young people, it's pretty good. Now, as I get older, I think the climate has a harder effect on me. But I think what's really important is that it gives you an opportunity to move up into like a management position or into teaching or anything, because it's a transient state, but it gives you a lot of opportunity to grow, and you know, there's a lot of jobs still here in Alaska.
And what would be the worst part of being a long-term Alaskan?
Oh, I think the longer as I get here, as you get older, I think the winters do have an effect.
Yeah.
I don't mind the cold, but the darkness has a big effect. I mean, as you get older and you're not as active physically, I think that it's has an effect on your body. And as you get older, you know, that's something that I don't plan on retiring here, but I think it was a great place to raise a family.
So thinking back over the years, if you could bring 3 famous Alaskans to dinner, who would they be and why would you choose them?
3 famous Alaskans. I would probably, you know, I'm a sports fan.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think it would be kind of neat to, you know, have dinner with Carlos Boozer. I mean, he's from Juneau, played basketball, and now he's in the NBA. But, you know, I've watched him play a lot of basketball, and I think it'd be neat to have him. Another one would be Jay Hammond. He was one of our governors in the state, and he actually, when he was the governor, he implemented the PFD, the Permanent Fund. And just the insight that he had when oil would be really neat. And my third one would probably be, I would probably say Governor Hickel. I mean, he was a governor of Alaska for a long time, and he had a lot of insight to help Alaska build. And those 3 people are very, you know, from the sports-minded to a politician. I think it's really, I'd like to have dinner with all 3 of those.
How do you think oil wealth has changed in Alaska?
Tremendously. In fact, I would probably say if the oil wasn't here, half the people wouldn't live here. I don't think I'd live here. Because what the oil does, it brings a lot of money to the state and a lot of jobs opportunity. Mm-hmm. Before that, there was really not, you know, besides fishing and timber, there wasn't really an economy that was very strong. I mean, it's all was seasonal. With oil, though, it brought a lot of wealth, a lot of jobs, and a lot of stability with staying in Alaska. I mean, it's such far away from the lower 48 that I think that the oil is just night and day. And I think what's really important is that we continue to develop the natural resources in the state, because, if you have a good job, you'll stay here a lot longer.
So what are 2 other ways Alaskan society has changed the most over the years?
I think the number one thing that's changed is oil has changed dramatically. I have to go back to that again because of without oil, you wouldn't have a tax structure you do now. You wouldn't have an economy like you do now. And I think that's what's really changed. Also, before even like oil and timber and fishing, there was a gold industry, and that just vanished overnight. But with oil, I think that's going to be here for a long time, and that's changed the way we think and the way we do business in the state. And by more development, it will be better for people to come and to be a part of the growth of Alaska.
So if you were chosen as a guest speaker in Alaska Studies class, what 3 topics, like lessons, would you choose to talk about that would be most important?
I think number 1 would be education. I think Alaska education offers a lot, and I think it's from middle school, from elementary, middle school, high school, college. I think it's important that everybody know that education is important and do the best you can. Because with education, it opens a lot of doors down the road. And not only that is that it takes a lot of money to live nowadays. And I think with a good job, it will help you in your lifestyle. Another thing is that I think it's important that about the politics. I think that's important that we follow and we vote. You find out the backgrounds of people and vote for think people that will help promote Alaska down the road. And another one would be out of the 3 areas. I think it's important that take pride in your state. Be community involved. Out of school, I'm involved in Boy Scouts. I'm involved in coaching different sports. I think it's important that you volunteer when you're here in Alaska, so you really have an ownership of the state.
So what are the 2 most important issues Alaska should focus on in the 21st century?
I think developing our resources is number 1. Oil's out there, but also we got copper mines, gold mines. I think we got to develop our resources, because really, if you develop the resources in this state, you're going to be able to have people stay here, and it's long term. Tourism, it's seasonal, but most important, when you develop your resources, it's going to bring jobs to the local economy, and people are going to stay. Another area is that I think they need to put money into the education, because education can open a lot of windows and a lot of doors that will help you down the road, and we need to continue developing our infrastructure. What's interesting, I moved here in 1984, and I was talking to people that have lived here longer than I have. There hasn't been a road built, a new big road, since 1973. And if you look down the lower 48, there's roads being built all the time. And I think that, in the future, we need to develop new roads to some of these rural communities.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, and that concludes our
interview. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.